This is Jason Unruhe and the Inglesist, Luke
Yo,
Dublin. And today we want to do a video talking about the American socialist patriotism as put forth by Mason Steiner. And I think it's important to clarify that his views are not the same views as Caleb Maupin and the CPI fascist crew kind of ideology. He has his own take on it. We would still very highly disagree with it,
yeah,
but it's important to note that it's not the same thing as what
yeah.
they are putting forward. So
However, however, we will clarify that we do not hold the same position as Mason Steiner on America at all.
no, no, that's the reason why
Yeah, yeah,
we're making this video to show where we disagree. I think that the main point, the main thing that runs through his entire video, uh, is the fact that he doesn't understand the difference between colonialism and settler colonialism,
yeah.
and that particular context with regards to the United States is left out from a lot of the theoretical work that he does and the quotes from past Marxists that he uses for uh, defending or supporting his position.
Yeah, there is also. I'll go through a few choice quotes whilst we talk about this stuff. But he quoted Mao in saying the specific content of the patriotism is determined by historical conditions. There is the patriotism of the Japanese in the Japanese aggression and of Hitler, and then there is our patriotism. And the thing is through, yeah, he compares Tsardom and old China to the United States, and it's just not the same conditions. That there were Russia has existed before the Tsardom, as has China. China has existed way before that. The Han Dynasty, before the Chang Dynasty. It's existed, long through time. So there is an idea of, you know, um, there is an idea of a China separate from colonialism.
Yes, whereas there is no America divorced from America. Uh,
Yeah,
the very the very foundation of what America is the problem. Whereas Tsardom is a problem which occurred in Russia.
yeah.
The various emperors of China are something that occurred in China, but they are not the
Now,
basis of what China is. Whereas
now
that would be
this
the
is
case with the United States.
now this isn't to say even in the modern context of Russia and even in the modern context of China that there aren't multiple colonial issues and there aren't multiple ethnic issues in the region. I mean, we only need look at the Chechens as well as certain Russian aggression that has happened over the past 10 years. But there is an idea of a Russia, and there is a uniquely Russian culture, so to speak. Um, the also we have a different context of the nation state in the modern day, especially you of the third worldist perspective, the Maoist third worldist. A nation is defined, however, in the Marxist-Leninist context as a nation that is historically constituted, stable community of people formed on the basis of common language, territory, economic life, and psychological makeup manifested in common culture. Now, in the modern, we'd say, the idea is a culture plus, you know, a culture plus ethnicity or plus religion and something. And this also doesn't take into account the often cultural nature of religion. In this idea,
Yes.
there's also how he refers to African Americans or Jewish Americans. Now, Jews would defer to the First Nations by their religion, and African. There aren't a lot of revolutionary black people that like to be called African American, or they prefer the term black or New African.
Yeah,
But
that's which is why they use the term New Africa and not New Africa America.
yeah, and he just keeps going through this. Um, a country, to quote him in his own words, a country built on and currently maintained by a colonial apparatus. Therefore, a valid complaint is lodged against proletarian patriotism. How can it be that a country is maintained by a colonial state apparatus and have any legitimate claim to progressive patriotic movements? It's an interesting conundrum to arrive at, and legitimate criticism. However, legitimate criticism does not create an effective antithetical statement in a dialectical materialist statement. For this, we look to the past and see history repeating itself. That being so in the sense of the similar social constructs and apparatuses around the Russian Empire and China prior to the establishment of the People's Republic. And he does this repeatedly through his article. I'd also like to tackle his... he's not wrong to say that, the Roman adoption of Christianity was a step towards, modern racism and whiteness as we know it as a concept today. But the thing is, in terms of the idea of race, you can go even further back from that into the idea of what is a Roman and what is a Roman citizen and what is a serf or what is a slave. But even before Christianization.
Yeah, and it's I think it's fair to say that kind of Christendom, I think is the right word.
Christendom, yeah.
Yeah, is the basis of what America is. I mean, founded on the idea of divine right. Manifest destiny. It's basically just divine right.
And it's worse than it, because even in the Roman context and the Roman Catholic Church, I am privy to Catholicism, but I have a complicated relationship with organized churches. But even in that, even the worst crimes, it was called the First Reich, for God's sake. The fucking Holy Roman Empire. The Protestants have had an even worse relationship with natives than Catholics have.
That's definitely true. At least the Catholic Church at some point came out against slavery.
Yeah, and at least in the context of especially, the USA, because obviously, I'm not going to excuse what it did to the South of America or.
No, of course not.
But yeah, and he is right to criticize the neoconservative narrative of colorblindness, as he puts it, with the CPI and stuff. But we're not exactly here to talk about the CPI.
No, that's not what we're here for.
Yeah.
I mean,
there's also.
Sorry, go ahead.
But to touch upon something that you've criticised Caleb for, to quote Mason, to appeal to heaven against the divine right of the American bourgeoisie, to seize the country apparatus of America from the latter, appeal to heaven, proletarians of America unite. This is a quote from Mason Steiner.
Yeah, this sounds kind of like Manifest Destiny.
Yeah, the idea, and from a Christian lens, from any religious lens really, not just my own, to use that to try and say that your words are correct is not only dangerous but deeply insulting sometimes. It can actually be offensive. There's also other quotes, which is, for the impoverished communists of two diametrically and culturally opposed areas to unite and fight for their poverty. Poverty is just that, poverty. You can measure poverty in wealth, no doubt, but you cannot turn it into an Olympic affair to win. Albeit, there are those left opportunists, infantile leftists and ultra-leftists who see this viewpoint as rubbish and instead view balkanization as a method preferred to free this prison state of nations. Yet this is idealist and very metaphysical. It is detached from the reality of how volatile or divided America would be if not united by proletarian patriotism. Now, I have deep issues with this, and I'm pretty sure you do as well, Jason.
Yeah.
Because there cannot be reconciliation and peace on the basis of a false nation.
No, the point is to give justice to individuals, and to do that, you couldn't perpetuate the thing that created the problem to begin with.
All of these quotes he's used would apply to the natives, would apply to indigenous communities in America. However, he's not talking about indigenous communities. He's talking about wider America, and especially in the context of Ohio, his sort of situation. And while the truth is that there has been, there can be some amount of reconciliation to what white Europeans have done to America, there cannot be a reconciliation of being a white American, which is why we push forward for pan-Europeanism, as I've talked about, and as you've talked about.
Yes.
And also, your stance on New Africa is this sort of black supremacist or black separatist idea in opposition to intercommunalism is at best ignorant and at worst absolutely disgusting, and talking down to black people.
Yeah, those are the main criticisms that we have of Mason Steiner's ideology.
I mean, there's also other stuff, the way that he says, Ohio lumpen are different and stuff like that, which is bizarre.
Yeah, but we really want to keep this limited to the subject of the post that he made last year. And the reason we're responding to it now is because he's reappeared in the online political arena, and this is the idea that he's pushing, and we have our disagreements with it.
Yeah, and there's also the matter of what he's come back from his annual retirement or suspension or whatever. You owe an interview to Trav if you want to actually clarify yourself or defend yourself for some of the stuff said in this. And you do have a right to respond to this critique, but I would recommend doing it with Trav so you can explain it to an audience that would be more reciprocal to that. But as it looks now, you are confusing the idea of colonialism and settler colonialism. To give an example for my country, I'm Irish and English, though obviously raised in England and of obviously thingy, but I'm of Irish diaspora as well. The UK as a concept could not exist in a socialist decolonialized context, and in that way neither could the US. And to consider balkanization a worse idea than a false peace is dangerous, and confusing settler colonialism and colonialism is a horrible mistake, because they are two different conditions. America is a death camp of nations.
Okay, so that's basically the criticisms that we had of Mason's ideology, and we welcome him to respond, of course, to clarify his position in case we've misunderstood something.
But we've read through the entire article.
Yes.
We've took choice quotes, but we've read the entire section. You actually didn't do a terrible job of talking about Christendom. It's just I feel it's incomplete because you didn't mention the history of discrimination before that.
Yeah. So that's pretty much going to be it for us today. So I just want to thank you guys for watching, and Mason, please respond.
Yeah, it's always a pleasure to be on your channel, Jason. And whatever's put out in public is allowed to be criticised. We're no exception.
Yeah, completely.
So anybody can feel free to respond to this, but I do genuinely think that there needs to be a serious stance again on colonialism, and that there shouldn't be sort of a grey area, and that we need to understand the actual context of colonialism in a specific area and the differences between that colonialism and another's colonialism.
And with that, we'll end this video, and want to thank you guys for watching.
See you.
Thank you for watching. If you like this program, then please head over to my Patreon page and set up a monthly donation. It's your donations that keep this program running. Also, if you would like, please rate, comment, subscribe, and share in various social media.